What's up, Crazy World family? Today we have a special episode. This one kind of hits a little home because it's with my cousin, and he is actually going through a hard time right now with his heart. He has to have a heart transplant. We've been wild and crazy and done some amazing things, and he is kind of the reason why I'm doing this podcast and the reason why I started doing this is because we started advocating together. So right now I'm going to bring him in and let him introduce himself to people as we start this conversation.
What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Darreal? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. I'm on this side of the dirt, so I
Oh
can't
yeah,
complain too
that's
much.
right. That's right. So tell people a little bit about how we got this going and how we met.
Well, Ben's my second cousin, or my third cousin actually. We're distant relatives. Like your dad and my dad are first cousins. So, but we're 2 days apart in age. So Ben was born September 2nd, '87. I was born September 4th of '82. So we kind of grew up together, and you know, growing up so close together, it just sort of that bond. It's more like a brotherhood than a cousin, and just all of the stuff that we've experienced together, I think kind of like led to all the crazy stuff we've done, all of the extreme stuff we've done, going through partners in policy making together. And I think it just led to, made us who we are. And I think that kind of led to you venturing out on your own to get this advocacy program going, get this podcast going. And,
Yeah, you were a big part of that because I know we went, like you said, we went to partners policy making and stuff like that. And at first, it was just, I tell people all the time, it was just a big party at first.
Yeah.
When we first went to the partners, it was a big party. We just had fun. I didn't care about advocating. I don't know about you, but I didn't really understand what I was getting into. But it's kind of funny how things go full circle. So, talk about, you remember the time that we were at my house and we first hung out? I don't know if you remember, but you thought that my mom was my stepmom. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was funny because like I had never, it was like I had brain surgery when I was 8 years old. I was 7 years old, so I was in a coma for 2 weeks. I had to have a craniotomy and a burial surgery from a bike wreck in the mountains. So I didn't actually, and I was paralyzed on the left side of my body. And I probably met you before that, but the memories were gone. All my memories were gone before that accident.
Wow.
And then it was, a couple of years later, I get dropped off. I come to your house to hang out. And this was right when you had the baclofen pump put in, and you had broken your legs because you hit the bus.
Oh yeah.
So you were in the double cast, and you had the baclofen pump in, and I didn't think much of it. I was just a kid, so it's like, hey, this is my cousin, and this is what it is. He's in a wheelchair. You just don't register any differences at that age, other than, hey, this dude's the coolest dude ever. We can hang out, we can do things, and I mean and so, but I didn't know your family.
Yeah.
I knew that John was family because John looks like family, he acts like family. But your mom, I thought your mom and John had gotten married. For some reason, I thought that Olivia was your stepsister, and I thought Susie was your stepmom, and that they had just been married recently. For some reason, that's what happened in my mind, because I had no recollection of ever meeting you guys before, and so that was kind of a weird thing. It took me like a year to figure it out. Oh wait, I was wrong.
Because I remember we went to cousin Jacob's house and stayed upstairs in the bedroom, and that was the first time that we really hung out. So when did you realize? When did you start realizing the differences between me and you, and realizing how challenging life was for me?
I honestly, I never did. I never did. There's not any differences.
That's all.
There's not. I mean, there's not. There are certain things and certain ways you have to do things, but there's no difference.
So
even to this day, I mean, dude, you may need some more assistance to do certain things, but we've never put limitations on anything you can do.
That's exactly.
And so, even as far as us being kids playing basketball out in the front yard, with the basketball goal, or jumping on the trampoline. Yeah, you couldn't jump, but I could shotgun you in the air, and just so happen you fall off every now and then and you get hurt.
Or remember the time that we took that pull ladder? When I had that 50-foot step ladder and you were angry.
It was a 24-foot step ladder. Yeah. Carry you up the step ladder. We had one guy, either me or Andrew, on the side of the pool at the deep end, and we chunk you off of a 24-foot step ladder down into the pool, and you just sink straight to the bottom. The guy jumps in, and then we jump in and we pull you back up.
Yeah, well, I've always been an outdoors guy until you. So let's talk a little bit about us going up the mountain and what that was like, and how do you think you really changed people's life by doing that?
I think people heard about it. You know, actually, I did a job for a woman. I was working with my dad, and we did a job where we had to rebuild her chimney. And her son has a disability. He's in college, and she does advocacy work. She's a lawyer. And I was talking about you and talking about the Appalachian Trail trip, and she had heard about it. And I really didn't know anybody had ever heard about it other than the people that were on the trail at the time. But yeah, that whole experience was self-serving for me because I was getting ready to join the military. So it was good training. And it was we'd been watching Bear Grylls and Survivor Man and all this stuff. And it was I'd already been up the trail before and seen those views. And I was like, you know, you can take pictures and you can look at pictures all day long, but until you see it in person, you don't get a grasp of actually what that feels like. So taking you up that mountain allowed you to experience the feeling of accomplishment, of looking out across 7 states in a place so remote that you can't call that in. That can't be phoned in. That's an experience that you have to put forth that effort.
So let's hone in on that story a little bit. Talk about that day and how it got started and what we thought we were going to do.
We thought we were going to climb all the way to the cabin, and it was like 7 miles, and we were going to camp out along the way. And it was kind of a shoestring deal. We had a compass, a knife, a couple of bottles, a couple of canteens, and some lighters and stuff, and bare minimum materials, because we took a manual wheelchair. Remember, we took the manual wheelchair, and I was like, I can push you up most of it, and then I just fold the wheelchair up and then move it and move you along the way. Well, that plan, as you know, it backfired immediately.
So tell the people a little bit about what happened.
So we go up the mountain, and we're going up this rugged terrain from Amicalola Falls, and we were going to try to go all the way to this cabin that you have to hike to. Well, we had the wheelchair, and once we got up probably about less than 1/8 of a mile, maybe 1/16 of a mile up this gorge, there's a drop off, there's a ravine. The chair kept falling over with Ben in it. And then there was the seatbelt came undone, the chair fell over, and Ben slid straight down to the edge of this ravine. I'm holding him by the seat of his britches, keeping him from going down this 100-foot gorge to his death. And I'm like, okay, I drag him back up, and we just took the wheelchair and just threw it into the brush. Like, we're not going to do this anymore. And then I just put him on my shoulders, fireman carried him. I was like, I'm strong enough. I'm fit. We're 19 at the time. So I'm like, I can carry you, bro. You're like 110 pounds at this time. You're a little heavier now. So it's harder
Way
now.
Heavier now. You can't do this, but you can't do this now.
Well, I can't do it now because, you know,
we'll get into that.
Yeah, but we'll be able to do it again one day, possibly.
Yeah.
We'll revisit that because, but I carried him, and if you go up 2 miles, you get to the falls, the Amicalola Falls. We made it up there, and it was great. There were people on the trail that were just gracious. They were offering to help us. The 4-H club had some bamboo sticks. They were offering to put them on the bamboo sticks and take some of the load off of me. We declined gracefully because we wanted to do this on our own. This was an accomplishment that we felt called to do. You know, something that we wanted to do. And by the end of the day, I think you were pretty mad at me by the end of the day because I was so wore out after about 4 hours that setting you down wasn't an option. We were just collapsing on the trail.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So you were cut up. I was cut up. I was cramping up. We were drinking water out of streams we didn't know anything about, filtering it with a shirt because we thought maybe we wouldn't get dysentery that way, which didn't work. We both got sick as dogs. We got to the falls, which we got to the clearings, and you were able to see out to Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, and I believe parts of West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's several states you can see from this one clearing. And people probably heard, you can stand up on your own.
Yeah.
You just have to be assisted to stand there.
Yeah.
So standing out and just describe what you felt when you were standing out there looking across this beautiful fall foliage, because this is November.
It was a lot of wind. It was a lot of just beautiful haze and fog, and I was like, wow, imagine just being able to. I honestly thought, wow, imagine just being able to fly across that ravine and just see for miles. I'm like, I wish everybody could see this. So I just was amazed, and it was just breathtaking. It's just, there's nothing like nature. Nature heals everything.
Yes.
And I'm sure nature heals you too, because and we've went hiking through the action track chain and things like that, but it's nothing compared to what it was going on in that mountain. And do you remember what people said when I was laying on the ground? That this man actually threw me on the ground. You remember what people said? I really remember this. Do you remember what they said and what they thought?
They thought you were hurt.
They thought I was dead.
They're like, is he okay? Is he alive? Because I was like, no, yeah, he's okay. Like, and then I told him, like, you probably passed a wheelchair on the way up. That's his wheelchair. We're hiking, and this is an endeavor we're taking on.
Yeah.
And then no one actually just asked and then left. Everyone that asked us if you were okay, they offered to help. They're like, do you need any help? We can help you. We'll make sure we can get him up to the falls at least, because a lot of people were just hiking to the falls.
Yeah.
Some people were hiking all the way to Maine, but every single person was just gracious with their offerings of help. And then some of the people were just in awe. I mean, some of those people were just like, dude, that's just badass. Like how, like you guys are inspiring. And that was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life, was to be inspiring to other people and to let people know that, hey, this is not my accomplishment. It's not just your accomplishment.
It's our accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment for anybody that wants to do this, because it can be done. It just takes the willpower to do it.
Absolutely.
And I say that because, yes, I was in excellent shape. I mean, I was a smoker. I smoked cigarettes. In fact, how many cigarette breaks did I take? Quite a few.
About 20 or 30.
Yeah, I smoked a whole pack of cigarettes on the way up there.
Yeah.
But I was in good shape, but I don't think that it would have mattered that I was in good shape. As long as I could bear the weight of you, anybody can do it. That's just pure heart.
Yeah.
That's just pure heart and willpower to go on.
So we had to push through no matter what we.
Yeah, and the pain of pushing through that pales in comparison to the actual gratification of accomplishing it. Even though we didn't spend the night there, we got to the top. You got to see the falls. We went a little further, and we found a good place to set up camp. And then we couldn't get a fire started.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about what happened when we made it to the top after it's all said and done. Where did the wheelchair go?
It was still on the trail. It may still be there to this day. I don't know if anybody ever came and got it off the trail.
So let's talk about what happened to me. What did you have to do to me?
So we couldn't get camp. It was cold. It was in late October, early November. It was getting cold. We tried to get a fire started so we could camp out. We had, some sleeping bags. We were going to camp out. We were going to build a fire, and we were going to camp out, sleep overnight, and then we were going to make the last trek of the trail up to the cabin, which was another 3 miles. We'd already been, 2.5. We'd already been like 3 miles up. So we had like just 2 more miles to go, but there was no way we could cold camp and not be sicker than dogs. We've been drinking that infected water all day.
Yeah. And
so we were getting sick. So we ended up hiking back to the falls, where there's a parking lot and there's bathrooms and some vending machines. And so we went back and we asked some people that were in the parking lot that just had driven up, hey, could you give us a ride back down to our car? We're kind of stranded up here. We hiked it up, but we can't get our campsite situated, and no one would help us. And that was the part that kind of irritated me, because all of the hikers were more than gracious, but all the people that didn't hike, that just wanted to see the falls, ignored us. They thought I don't know if they thought you were a crackhead, and we were just like, we were just, drug addicts or something, or just like hobos. Well, we looked rough. buddy. We had mud, blood. We looked like we had just walked out of the woods for a year.
It probably didn't help that I was screaming at people because they wouldn't stop. So I'm sitting there screaming at people to get them to stop. That probably didn't help.
Yeah.
So where did I go and what did you do?
So I set you up against the vending machines, and then I ran back down the trail.
Let me rephrase that. I was in the bathroom.
No, you weren't. You were outside the bathroom.
You put me in the bathroom style, bro.
I thought I put you in against the vending machine.
No, you put me in the bathroom because remember I said it's warm. That's what.
Oh yeah, because it was cold.
Yeah.
And I put you. So yeah, I was in the bathroom, but you were on the floor. Because I couldn't put you on the toilet because I didn't want you to fall off and get hurt. So I put you on the floor, like in a corner of the handicap stall, propped up, and then I ran down the mountain as fast as I could. I had a knife in one hand, a flashlight in the other, and I'm just running down this mountain like as fast as I humanly possibly can. I think I made it down that mountain, that 2 miles. I had to make it down there in like
20 minutes.
It wasn't even 20 minutes. It was less than that. It felt like it was 10 minutes.
Do you remember what state I was in when you got back?
Yeah, when I drove the car back up, which was I drove the car back up, and I'll pick Ben up, and then we'll go home, and then we'll collapse out of it, But it was a 2-hour drive back home. I came back up to the parking lot. I go into the stall, and you had fallen over. You had fallen over. You were laying in a pool of your own vomit from the water. I mean, the sickening water that we've been drinking all day. And I was like, okay, so let's clean you up. We got you cleaned up as best as we could, and then we left. And we stopped by McDonald's in Blue Ridge or LJ, and that made things way worse.
I don't even remember that. I'm not saying we did. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a good concert story. We had a good time at the concert. We had a lot of fun. And how you think we really changed people's life at the concert?
We've been to several concerts. We've been to Family Values 3 times. I've passed out the last time on half of it.
Yeah.
But we went to the Family Values the first time in 2007. My son, my wife was pregnant with my son at the time, and I got permission to go because we had bought the tickets before. But we went to Family Values, and it was me, you, and it was Anthony, which is a guy that your mom and dad were taking care of at the time that has cerebral palsy as well, and his caregiver. And like, dude, we talked to so many people, like, because it's social butterfly effect.
Yeah.
We're not. If I go somewhere, I'm going to talk to people.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk to people, and we're going to shatter people's expectations of who you are. This is before you had tattoos too.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have any of the tattoos, so there was no conversation starter point. It's just talking to people and sharing a love for the music. And when you're in a place where there's a common like interest, it makes it easier to connect with those people.
Absolutely.
And so being at the Korn concert, just jamming out. I remember I was hitting on all kinds of women in the concert, like, even though I was married, I wasn't supposed to. But
hey, it's a story. It's a past.
Yeah, it's a past, and I'm divorced from her now, so it doesn't matter. But just like talking to people, and we actually ended up making really good friends with one of the side bands, 11 Standing Still, that we personally thought were better than Shinedown, which was the opening band. That was actually the Godsmack concert. Yeah. That was the Godsmack concert. But the Values concert, we actually did have a couple of girls that came with us. They were on the lawn, and they came with us to our seats, which were right behind the press boxes for the journalists and everything.
Yeah. So to paint the picture, it was a VIP section for all the fans. So the bands would actually come down off stage and they'd walk around. When they had to come through off the stage, they would walk right by us. And Shinedown was a way better band. I mean, 11 Still was a way better band because he was drunk. So yeah, it was way better. But what do you think a time in your life to where you think that because of who I am, where you've seen that I really changed people's life?
Oh, on the trail, but most definitely. I think there's been too many times to count really. Anytime you interact with someone that allows them to see the person, not the chair, and that shatters that it chips away at that first impression.
Yeah.
Because the first impression is chair, and what does this guy have to? They look at you and they're like, chair, no life experience.
Yeah.
What could he? What possible experiences could he have that would benefit me in my life? And infinitesimally, you would actually be the person that would actually inspire people more so than anyone could ever inspire you, because of the things you've accomplished and the things that you've been able to do despite your situation.
But you've been able to live through it with me, so we both experienced it together.
And that's the thing is to get people to understand that if you experience things with someone with a disability, with Ben, if you go through some of the things with him and these accomplishments that he's had, you get to share in that. And so when, like, there's a quote that I love. It's that a sorrow shared is half the sorrow. So if you suffer with me, you take half of my suffering away. But a joy shared is twice the joy. And we've shared joy with each other so many times that I get to be a part of that. That's so much more joy that's been experienced in the world than otherwise.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what happened to you after you left me for a little bit. Talk about your military experience and what you went through with that.
So I joined the Army in 2008. My military experience was it wasn't exactly, glorious or very long. I joined the military. So we had a friend of ours named Bubba. God rest his soul. He joined the Army in 2007. And he was with the 4th Infantry Division, and just a good guy. I mean, he was a good guy. He was a troubled teenager. But we all were, coming from Clayton County. We were, we were kind of hoodlums. We were street kids. But he got his life together. He joined the Army, and then towards the end of 2007, his convoy was hit with an IED, and we lost him. And that had a profound effect on me. I didn't know Bubba as well as you did, but I knew him well enough to know that I had to do my part. And so when my son was 6 months old, I joined the Army. And I joined the field artillery. I went through my training and everything, and I hurt my foot. They offered me a job transfer, which I didn't join the Army to push paper and sign checks. So they gave me the option of leaving the Army and then coming back in with a waiver. And in that time frame, the economy was not doing well. I couldn't get back into the Army. But during my time in the Army, I was exposed to the camaraderie, the friendships that I developed that are lifelong friendships. It made me the man I am today. It gave me discipline. It gave me structure. And it gave me a set of values that I'll carry to the day I die.
Okay, so without going too far into detail, tell people a little bit about why, like, how you got to this point. I saw that you showed the pick line, and what's been what. I know you're making a life change. So talk a little bit about what was going on before you made that life change, and tell the people a little bit about what's happened to get you to this point, to where you're wearing the pick line.
So I've pretty much been living my life basically just day by day. On September 28th, September 26th, I went to the hospital. I had pneumonia, and then I was diagnosed while I was in the hospital with end-stage heart failure. My heart's pumping at 10%, well, between 5 to 10%. And I had no idea, but my heart has been deteriorating over the years. So as you see right now, I'm on a Milrinone pump that's actually causing my heart to pump and eject fluids faster with each pump because they can't get my heart to pump anymore. So I'm actually on a heart transplant list with the VA In 3 months, I'll be getting an LVAD, which is a mechanical heart, left ventricular assistive device that will give me an extra 5 to 7 years to live. It's also a bridge to transplantation. Prior to that, I was not living a healthy life. I had turned to drugs for a period of time, probably 6 months. My father had a heart attack in April. My father-in-law died in May 14th, of the same thing of congestive heart failure that I have now. My truck broke down, which is my work truck. That's how I made my money. Work started to slow down. I was barely able to pay my bills. So I just checked out. I turned to drugs, and just went numb. You know, this is like hit a line, feel fine, take a pill, go still, stay numb, repeat daily. I was lying to everybody. I thought no one knew. I was able to function. And then, you know, people had their ideas. I know they did. Even you said that. Yeah. But I lied to my wife. I cheated on my wife. But the God's grace, she stayed. When any other woman would have left, that woman stayed by my side. Still with me to this day. She stayed by my side because, you know, God has a way of putting people in your life that He knows you're gonna need later on. Yeah. So then on the 26th, I go into the hospital for pneumonia. I get diagnosed with heart failure, and on the 28th, I had a heart attack. I had a heart attack, and I was placed on a ventilator. I died for 5 to 15 seconds. Somewhere there, I flatlined. The ventilator kicked on, brought me back to life.
Okay.
And I was in a coma for 4 days, and I woke back up, which would be the second time I've woke up from a coma. But this time was a little bit more profound than the first time. Because the first time it was medically induced coma. I didn't die. I was just brain dead for, you know, a little while. And when I was a kid, I just had some, you know, physical impairments that I had to go through therapy, and I was fine. This time it's been a much longer road, and the repercussions are a lot more intense.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the moment you died. What was that like?
So the moment I died, I could see all of these doctors over top of me, and I could make them out. They were doctors. Because when I got up to the ICU, the doctor told me, he's like, hey, I'm a level with you. This is going to hurt worse than anything you've ever been through. He's like, I can't sedate you because you're going into cardiac arrest. I have to put the ventilator in right now. So it's going to hurt, but you'll be out. We'll put you under. We'll put you under as soon as the ventilator's in. We're not going to let you drown. Yeah. Because you run the risk of drowning if it's not put in properly. And you're not sedated afterwards. So they put the mask on and they jam the hose down my throat. It goes down through your esophagus and it goes in your lungs and it goes all the way down. And I could feel the air sacs in my lungs bursting open, and you can actually feel yourself. You can feel the fluid entering your lungs and all of the chambers of your lungs, and it's a simulated drowning. You are drowning because the ventilator is not actually on when they put it in. They can't force air in until it's installed. Yeah. Which, to tell you the truth, is actually it was without a doubt one of the most painful experiences of my life. But then I immediately went out. I went out from, they gave me fentanyl, Dilaudid, or whatever I think it's fentanyl to sedate me. I passed out. But when I passed out, I had an arrhythmia. So my heart skipped a beat, and following that arrhythmia, I had a heart attack, which caused cardiac arrest. My heart stopped. Okay. So as I'm seeing these doctors, they go into silhouettes, and I see this aura of light come down onto them, and then everything goes black. Everything goes black because that's the moment I died. Yeah. But then I can see silhouettes of these doctors, and I can feel I mean, it's hard to explain, but it was almost like I could feel the hand of God working through them. Yeah. As they're, you know, putting in the feeding tube, putting in the catheter, putting in all this stuff on me, and then it went blank again. But I was in a room, and the visions that I had was just an empty room. It was all white floor, white walls, and there was like a golden aura of light around that room, and there was no speaking, there was no nothing, but I could feel, the feeling you get when you're surrounded by all the people you love, or a large group of people you love.
Yeah.
It was that feeling times a million. It was like you take the love with you, and as cheesy as this is a Patrick Swayze saying, and it's from the movie Ghost, but all the love that you have here, you take it with you.
It's time to tell.
And then waking up from that, they had to pull me out of sedation before they could pull the tube out, which is again painful.
Yeah.
Because if they pull the tube out with you being sedated, you could drown. So they got me out of sedation. I woke up with the ventilator still in, and then they yanked it out. I throw up, and is a sense of dread, because at first I could not remember the experience of that of that death experience, and I was so scared of leaving behind all of the people that love me, my wife, my kids. That's a hard thing to think about, but then through prayer I started to understand that if I go to a better place.
Yeah.
And then God's grace is enough and will to cover their pain. God's grace will make the pain ease on for them. And it'll hurt at first, but eventually those painful memories become loving memories.
Yeah.
And then you get reunited with them, and you're taking the love with you. So you're not missing out on anything. You're going to a better place, and you're going to see all of your loved ones again, and they're going to be comforted.
Okay, so I'm about to ask you a really tough question, but think about it like a bridge. What was the moment that you were going through? Oh, I got to make a life change. I got to switch. I got to turn my life around. I got to go towards God. Because there had to be a moment where you switched. You're like, I got to make a change, and I got to do it now.
That would be the moment I woke up.
Wow.
The moment I woke up, I've been praying incessantly since I came out of the coma. Like there's faith and there's knowledge, and I experienced both in that moment. So I know it's a knowledge that I have. I know what's real and what's not, and then I have the faith that everything's going to be okay. And then it's been more of a the prayer is kind of a catch-all term. I would say it was more conversations with Jesus. I've been more of building a relationship, because it's God. I'm suffering. I'm suffering every day. That if I don't take care of myself, I suffer. I'm going through this. It's suffering. But God's not telling. And I watched the podcast just the other day. It was the day that I went to church at the VA, when I was in the VA ICU, which was amazing, because the nurse, she doesn't get to go to church because she was at work. She wheeled me down. I was able to go to church. First time she's been able to go to church in a while, because she's been working Sundays. Okay. So she was able to go to church with me. So by me going to church, it was a blessing to her.
Yeah, she went to church.
And so I would say that it's like a relationship that you build with God, and you build with Jesus. So where is it? Train of thought. I lost my train of thought here.
Okay. So I have another question. So they say when you find God, you suffer more. So what is your biggest suffer right now, and how are you overcoming it? Like, what are you doing to let God help you through that? This is for people that are maybe thinking about following God and not sharing, but they need that little story, that little push to do it.
So depression, I've always dealt with depression. I've dealt with depression since being discharged from the military. I trained for a war I never got to fight in. I didn't finish my enlistment. So there's a depression there that held, but just feeling just inadequate, I guess, and then just having the ups and downs of life. And getting back to the point I was trying to make before, is that when you're going through this suffering, and even suffering physically, if I have too much salt, I can't breathe. I start having fluid build up on my lungs and my heart. Last night was a rough night because I had a hard time. I was just in the bed crying and just begging for rest. And God's response is never get over it and deal with it. God doesn't tell us to get over it, deal with it. And in that podcast, the guy told me, the guy said something that was profound to me, that what the word from God is telling us when we're suffering and when we're dealing with stuff is, it's not get over it. It's come to me, all ye who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will give you rest. And I've been given so much rest that compared to where I was a month ago, like, man, I feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
Even though I look like crap and, I'm not nearly back to where I was before all this, I'm not ever going to be the same. I'm grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for where I can be. And I'm grateful for what I've done and what I can still do.
So what does the voice of God feel like or sound like when you're let's talk about last night. What was it like when did God speak to you, or how did you get rest? How did you
So when you're having that conversation, you don't hear a voice. I don't hear a voice. But you get clarity on things that aren't your own thoughts. It's just like a thought. It hits. Like, I've been searching for my purpose. I've been praying to Jesus to give me a purpose. What is my purpose? You've saved me twice. I'm here for a reason, and I don't know what that reason is. I can't divine why I'm here, but I'm obviously not able to be killed, by my hand or the hand of any stupid actions that I commit. Anything that I do, anything the world throws at me, I've been able to survive all of it. So I'm here for a reason. And so what's my purpose? And that's been the biggest question for me. And I think that purpose is to just share my story, share my testimony. If I can save one person, if I can get one person to turn to Christ in a time of need, that's one person whose life will be changed for the better. And I can die knowing that I did the Lord's work, and not just did work, but held the faith, ran the race. And at the end of the day, I have a relationship with Christ. I know him and he knows me.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for in this life.
That's amazing. So as we wrap this up, what do you want the people to know about you and what you plan on doing, and how can they find you and what you're going to do? How can they keep up with you?
Well, it's hard to keep up with me. I'm on Facebook, but I've posted too much stuff on my Facebook that's personal, and a lot of stuff that doesn't really represent me anymore on Facebook. There is some religious. I've been posting a lot of religious espousings on Facebook lately, but I plan on working on starting a foundation to raise awareness for people with not disabilities. That's your foundation. But I plan on starting a foundation to raise awareness for organ donation, because I think that more people need to be aware that there are people like me that could benefit from organ donation, that could live a productive life if there were donors to bridge that, to help with that. And I mean, I've got kids, I've got a family, I've got people that love me that want to see me alive tomorrow. And unfortunately, it's going to take, someone has to die in order for me to live. But I don't plan on wasting a single second of the heart that I get. I plan on honoring that person, meeting that family, and living up to the expectations of what a true heart recipient should be. I plan on hiking the Appalachian, the entirety of the Appalachian. I'm healthy otherwise, except for the heart. But I want to raise awareness for people to donate organs, and also raise awareness for recipients to don't overdo it to where you shorten your life because you are a steward of someone else's grace and their donation. So don't do anything that would shorten the life that you've been given, but don't live with limitations. Kelly Perkins received the heart donation in 1995. She was the first person to climb Mount Everest. She's climbed multiple mountains. I plan on doing something similar to raise awareness with my organization, and I've got to navigate how to do that. But I'll keep you updated. Like I said, it's going to be 3 months before I even get the LVAD. It could be 2 years before I get the heart transplant. So I've got time.
Yeah.
And as I get more, knowledgeable about starting organizations, starting foundations, 501(c)(3)s, I'll be updating you, and then you can update your viewership, and then I'll start a website, and there'll be ways for people to reach out to me and my team, which I plan on building. I plan on building a team of other transplant recipients, not just heart recipients, but liver recipients, kidney recipients, any organ donation recipient, because it's all the same. You have to have. There are people that have to have these in order to live, and there's no greater gift than the gift of life. And so to be a recipient of that is to receive everything.
Well, I really appreciate the viewers watching, and I hope you guys get a lot out of this episode. It was great interviewing you, Darreal, and I hope we impact a lot of people with this story. You're going to go a long way. Just keep the faith and keep pushing, man.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It was like just talking, like
Oh, yeah.
felt like just a conversation between two bros, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.